If you drive a Land Rover Discovery of any series and you're determined to do your own maintenance, sooner or later you're going to become an expert. Now, the purpose of the Watts link is it basically stops the body from moving sideways. Because the body sits on springs, if it wasn't for those, the body could be wobbling sideways all over the place. So the Watts link cleverly allows the axle to modulate all over the place, but keep the body central over the axis, over the axles. This one has some play in it, as you can see. Doesn't seem to be much, but when you're driving along you can feel it under the driver's seat, strangely enough, which is right over there. It feels like it's right under the seat, and you can hear this donk, 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 especially when you're going over, like slowly over potholed tracks and so on, like we have around here. So I shall be changing that. And here is the Watts link, the new one. A substantial piece of cast iron, steel, whatever it is. You are looking at £160. You can buy replacement bushes, but that requires a press, which I don't have. I mean, a press is something that I've always fancied getting, but it's one of those things where you don't have one when you need it, and you end up doing it a different way, so you end up not needing the press, and then the next time you think, oh, I wish I had a press. But needs must. So first thing I need to do is clean up the old nuts and spray some WD on there and attempt to get them off. So it's important to clean up the nut as much as you possibly can, because you'll find it'll be covered in corrosion and all sorts. So I'm just giving it a scrape and a wire brush and some WD-40. Other brands of penetrating fluid are available. And then we'll see what size socket I need. I tried first of all thinking I'd clean the nut up, and it was about a 24 or 25, but I seem to have got down to about a 21 now. So I need to be absolutely sure, for obvious reasons, what I'm dealing with. So I don't want to round this one over. Well, I don't want to round any of them over. Okay, with that cleaned up, it's a nice tight fit, and we're looking at a 21mm. So I shall now, with a socket, with a ratchet and an extension bar, do my utmost to get this off. So with a socket on an extension, a short extension, 21mm socket on there nice and firmly, a 3/4 inch or 19mm ring spanner, preferably one with a step on each end, so that when you do it, it can sort of hook onto the axle tube there. And with an extension bar along here, it's now getting loose, so I'm going to undo this one. I'll do it a little bit more and then give it a tap with a hammer to make sure the bolt is free to move, and I'll take the nut off, and then I'll do the one on the other side. So with the left side undone on the link, I'm going to loosen off the centre, which involves loosening this this bolt here, which is a 24mm. 24. There we go. Okay. I've cleaned it up with a wire brush and it's on there. It's good and solid right the way in. So I shall now, the socket with an extension on it, a ratchet with the extension, loosen that one off. And with that one out of the way, which I thought was it, sod's law, there's actually another one underneath, which is the one holding the big long bolt in place. The other one was just a bolt, a nut and washer, which held this earthing strap in place. So I shall remove this one then. Now, an important safety thing of note is that before you get to the stage of removing the bolts, you need to make sure that the car is on absolutely level ground, because the purpose of the Watts link is to make sure that the body on the springs doesn't wobble from side to side in relation to the axle. If the car is leaning either way, when you remove the Watts link, there's a very strong possibility that the car will flop over on the springs. I know the car's level, and I know I'm not going to have a problem with the Watts link removing the bolts and the bodywork, because each bolt moves extremely freely in each link, in the middle, in the right and the left. So now for the next step. Okay, so with each of the 3 bolts now loosened, and they slide easy peasy, which tells me there's no sideways tension on the linkage whatsoever. I now need to jack the car up a fair amount and sit the chassis rails on axle stands, because Land Rover in their wisdom made it so that you can't remove this extremely long bolt without doing that, because the fuel tank's in the way. Also, that left hand bolt over there won't come all the way out because there's a bit of the axle in the way. So I'm now going to jack this up. And with the car level, I'm ready to remove the bolts of the Watts link. What link? Watts link. Yeah, but what link? Yes. Okay, so this, important announcement, this is the absolute bare minimum I would want in order to be happy to crawl under the car. I have, sitting on the chassis, they're not on the radius arm, an axle stand. I also have a jack, which I had to use a brick to get the height. Same on the other side. And as extra security, a trolley jack lightly supporting the tow bar. Now, I mean, the wheels are still on, so if the worst came to the worst and it came down, it would only go as far as it would normally sit, with a little bit of bounce, but it's not going to do that. But I would say that if you're not 100% confident with your mechanicking abilities, or if there's any part that you're not satisfied with, do not get under the car. Alright, so bolt number 1 slides out, and the radius arm, the doodah arm, can only drop down so far because there's this thing here, this bracket that holds it in place. The second one out, like so, and this one should come down. Oof, there it goes. As you can see, the bushing in that radius, in the Watts link, already is just absolutely shot. Okay, and then the long one, which now clears the fuel tank, and the whole lot should hit the deck. And that is the beast I'm talking about. But look at those bushes, they are shot. No wonder it was donking away. Alright, so let's get this in the workshop. So this is what I'm talking about. Just look at the play in that. So luckily, you know, this is the bit I'm replacing, this middle bit. So I've cleaned up the nuts, just in case. Just if you take a 21mm spanner, because this is a 21mm nut, and you like wiggle away there, you can get all the corrosion off, like so. You do the same on the other side, and then you can just put your 21mm socket straight on there. I'm using it's a Draper Expert socket, but they're dirt cheap, so I'm using one of those with an extension. I wouldn't want to use my new Barco socket set, which I'll probably show you in another video. It's absolutely superb, and for the price, unbelievable. So the other side is a 19mm or a 3/4 inch. Bring it round so it goes up against the vise, and then we're holding everything in place. And we're working away, and we'll get this undone. And as per the same with that one, the bolt just fell out, which is better than it not falling out. Shall give these a quick clean up before they go back on the car. Here is the old one. I can wiggle it with me. Just finger and thumb. Totally shot, so that will make the scrap man very happy. Good weight there. And here we have the new one. Much nicer. So, can you guess which is the old one, which is the new one? Answers on a postcard, please. And without further ado, we shall get fitting it back together. So I'm going to apply a nice bit of anti-seize copper grease to the bolt, just to ensure that it will pop out just as easy as it did this time, which was a real surprise. A pleasant surprise. Take our connecting arm and through there. I'll do it from underneath, just to be awkward, like that, and then attach, screw on the nut. Give it a good tweak for now. And we do those up to a torque, that's the theory anyway, of 114 pounds. And with that all torqued up, now we get to the enjoyable bit of any job, which is the refitting. And as with any job, The dismantling is what takes the time. The refitting is going to be a joy, he says. So the first thing I'll do is give, as with the other bolts, a coating of anti-seize. So there's all manner of anti-seize. There's this one, which is copper grease. There's all manner of stuff you can use, even specialist anti-seize compound, but copper grease is the old favourite. Now lift up the new Linkage. Handy that bolt's there to sit it on top. Take out our nut, our bolt, sorry. And through it goes. Same this side, a little bit of anti-seize on the bolt. Oh, slide it in there like so. And then from the side you can't see, slide it through. And there we have one refitted new Link. Like I said, with most jobs, the stripping down is the strenuous part, but the refitting is usually nice and straightforward. So that was pretty good actually. And remember to fit the extra nut with washer and that earthing strap on the other side. And it's about 110 foot-pounds for there. That one's about 170 and 110 for the other side of torque. So I'm now going to lower the car down off of its axle stands, and that will be another job finished. So ends another job on this Land Rover. I don't know, pick them, don't I? Alright, so if you found that enjoyable or useful, please click like, even subscribe. And thanks for watching, and I'm off for a coffee, because it's Friday. Mind you, every day's coffee.